Salutations, I'm Sarah Fandoms, and welcome to today's YouTube video. In today's video, I'm going to talk all about the Rhode Island con that I went to. This is something that I want to start doing. I want to see if I can start doing con content. I'm not sure if I can, but if you don't know, I do cosplay now. I don't do it like everybody else. I don't like a lot of makeup on my face. I don't like things in my hair. And on top of that, I do have DID, and if I switch, my children will never have that. They will take it out of their hair. They will take off the makeup. They will pull out the lip rings. They'll take off their earrings. So I do what I call partial cosplay. I went to a cosplay con yesterday, which was Sunday. Cue photo here. I would like to note, I am not the alter that actually picked that. It was somebody else. My child alter wanted to be a human and female version to Brooke, so I did my best. Brooke from One Piece. So, we did our best. It was a very time crunched because we literally found out about it a week before the con, and then my husband went as Sanji. I'm just gonna go over, like, my whole experience, who I met, who I talked to, how my experience with these people were, and so on. So, I'm gonna start off with how the con was more of a meet and greet than it was a con. It was advertised as a cosplay con. It was advertised as, like, almost like a Comic-Con. It was not. It was more of a fucking meet and greet, which is fine. I just wish I would have known that before I paid the money that I paid to go, 'cause I wouldn't have went. It was more of like, come meet the voice actors, come meet all sorts of movie actors, all these really big names, like really big names were there, like JoJo Siwa, Brendan Rogers, the guy from, some horror movie, I can't remember, it's in my Jason? I think it was, Jason. Jason Voorhees. Matilda was there. All three of the Blue's Clues guys were there. I wanted to meet them, but there was no way getting into those fucking lines. Danny Phantom, Courage the Cowardly Dog, like huge WWE guys like the $1 Million Man. I know Kane's brother was there from WWE. Or was it Kane or is it the Undertaker's brother? I don't remember. Someone's brother. I think it was the Undertaker's brother, and his name is Kane. Yeah, because Kane was there. Sorry, I'm fucking tripping. Really big names, though, like, everywhere. Now, because of how big names, like, how many people and huge names were there, it was a little bit hectic. So, like, you would get, like, a small little area with, like, a normal-sized table, and then, like, literally right up against that table would be another table, and then it would be, like, that all the way down, and only, like, 5 people could wait in a line at a time, and you couldn't stand and wait. So they would make you continuously just do this loop around and around, so lines were awful to get into. If you don't know, I go to cons for signatures, but I also go for the con experience. I am, at the moment, collecting a bunch of really well-known signatures, and I plan to make them my backdrop at some point in time. But this con was not worth it due to how disorganized it was. There was too many huge names, not enough staff, not enough, like, organization. It was just fucking hell. I even noticed that some of the voice actors didn't even go on break, like, they didn't even get to have lunch, and I felt so fucking awful, because they were there, like, Friday, Saturday, and sorry, I film on Snapchat, because Snapchat gets this stuff first. I only go on Sunday. Anytime I do a con, it's always on Sunday. That's the only day my husband gets off. The first person that I got to meet was, and by the way, please bear with me, I might butcher these names, Marty Grabestein. Grabestein? I think it's Grabestein. Basically, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I'm gonna block out my name so I don't dox myself. Cue photo here of it in nice picture form. I do have them sign my family name, just because I like it more. I do really enjoyed my interacting. He hugged me. He was so welcoming. He was so kind. He was shocked that I'm 25. He was like, I thought you were a kid, which is funny. I get that reaction a lot. A lot of people tend to think I'm underage. He was like, I thought you were like 16. And I was like, no, I grew up watching you. I used to, like, watch you every fucking day on Saturday. Courage is my favorite character from Courage the Cowardly Dog. He was such a nice, welcoming man, and he even did the voice for me, which was so sweet and so cool. I then headed over to Ian Cardadon from Rick and Morty because I have 2 child alters, and one of them, before you judge me, loves Rick and Morty. Do not hate on this kid. He doesn't know better. He just really likes Rick and Morty. He's about 6. And I felt so bad because Rick is a fucking... I don't know if he was just over it. I don't know if he's always like this. You can just, like... It was extra, like, okay, so most of them will, like, be like, oh, do you want me to sign a name? Do you want me to, like, put something on it? And it's, like, $50. His was, like, he will only sign his name for, like, 50, and then it's, like, 60 for him to write anything else. He wouldn't even put my family name. Which is fine in a way if he was more talkative, but he was very, like, couldn't wait for me to go the fuck away. And it wasn't like I was rude or anything, he just seemed very grateful to be where he was. I'm gonna see if I can censor the next one, because I don't think this is gonna be allowed on YouTube. We're gonna homemade censor this. Hold on. I have a piece of paper that I'm gonna use. I really want to show you this. The next guy that I met was, of course, Harry Relden? Morty. I met Morty. Well, my alter did, because he loves Rick and Morty, and this is the photo. Just blocking out my name. It says, to the Fandoms family, thank you so much for watching, and then his name. So... yeah, Harry Relden, I think his name is. He was a fucking sweetheart. Cue the photo here so you can see it better. Before I get shit for my child picking the photo that he picked, first off, it wasn't, technically him who picked it. It was actually, his dad, Kit, who was like, I want this photo. I've never seen this photo. And actually, Morty thought it was funny. He's like, you're the first person to pick this out of all 3 days. And even if he didn't, that alter faced a lot of trauma. DID comes from trauma, and he is very mature for his age. He knows a lot of things he shouldn't. He understands the world a lot differently than most 6-year-olds. He had to grow up very quickly, so he is aware of adult activities because, again, he faced a lot of trauma in his life. His job is to deal with, the harder parts of our life, unfortunately, and deal with a lot of the pain. And he just thought it was a funny photo, and his dad wanted it. It was mainly his dad that decided. Of course he did. Kid's immature as fuck. And Morty was, I think he could, like, tell that we were disappointed about Rick because his whole face lit up, and he was like, oh, like, hi, and then he started doing Morty's voice, and, like, he looked up at us, and he was like, yeah, you like that, don't you? Like, just playing around. Harry was such a welcoming sweetheart. I definitely don't recommend meeting Ian, but I definitely recommend talking to Harry. He was such a good guy. Again, I don't know if Ian was just having a bad day. I don't know if he was just tired. I don't know if he was just over the con. I know it was all messy. I heard from multiple staff that it was just a hectic weekend, and it just wasn't pleasurable. I don't know if that was the issue. I don't know. I don't know if he just wasn't interested. I don't know if he was just upset because of all the stuff that goes on with Rick and Morty, all the drama that's kind of behind the scenes right now. I don't know, but, Morty definitely made it up to Chase, and he was so happy. I then had to go meet my hero, my personal favorite video game. So you always hear me say, I don't play video games. This is both true and both a lie at the exact same time. I technically don't. I play, like, one game. I play a few, but, like, mainly one game. That game is this little funny cowboy game that I learned on the PS2 from my stepbrother. Awkward conversation, I guess. If you know, you know. Now, there is this little cowboy game where you dress up as a little cowboy and you ride around on horses and you go and be a little gunslinger and you do all this really horrendous stuff as a little gunslinger, okay? You run around with a little cowboy hat and there's, like, this horse. I don't play the story, so I don't actually know what's going on. But I do love the game. I love the game so much that I not broke it once, I not broke it twice, I broke it multiple times from overplaying it. because on the PS2 you couldn't buy games onto the system. And then when I met my husband, I was like, I really want to play this cowboy game again, and you have a PS3. Can I buy the cowboy game? And he was like, justify it, because that's his whole thing, is like, justify why we should make this larger purchase. And that makes sense. At the time it was very expensive because it was a very vintage game. And I was like, I don't know, you just be this cowboy and you run around. He's like, that sounds so dumb. And I'm like, no, like, you'll love it. So I got him to buy it for me because I got begging for it for like months and weeks. And he got it for me, and he's like, do you ever play the story? And I was like, no. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Red Dead Redemption, everybody. I absolutely love Red Dead Redemption. I can't show the whole thing. I'll show you a nicer version. So I met John Marston, which is played by Rob Weethoff? I know him as John Marston. John is my favorite. It was my favorite game. It's still my favorite game. I particularly like just Red Dead Redemption. 2 is okay, but I really like the first one. I especially love Undead Nightmare. It's one of my favorites. Actually, Rob took a photo of me and put me on his story. Cue memory here. He also liked my comment, because I said, thank you so much for meeting me, like, I loved it, like, I commented, and he liked it. He was such a welcoming guy. He was like, I'm so glad that you liked the game that much. I was like, absolutely. He sounds exactly like his character. I was fucking geeking. One thing about me is, like, I have autism, and when I go to these functions, my autism, especially when I'm meeting someone that I really like, really shows. I kind of, like, jiggle around a bit, I, like, move my hands a lot. I try really hard not to stem, but I can't help it because it's autism. And it does, autism gonna do what autism do. And a lot of the voice actors get a kick out of it. He was just like, you're so sweet. And he's like, do you do hugs? And, like, you know, we hugged and stuff, and he was so sweet. And then I headed over to the next table, which was Roger Clark playing Arthur Morgan. Gonna censor my little name here. Give me a second. Can't let you see. And I'll cue the photos, next to each other after I talk about Arthur, and then you can see them really nice. Arthur was the same way. He was such a friendly guy. He sounds exactly like his character. There is no, like, voice act, like, yes, he's voice acting, but, like, he just, that's his voice. It was so amazing, and he told me that he actually only played the game twice, and he doesn't really get the hype, which is okay. He's like, you know, but I'm glad you liked it. And I was like, oh my god, I loved it. He was so welcoming. He was so sweet. I had such a good time meeting them. I was so geeking. I love this. I live for this game. It's not even funny. Cueing their photos here. Okay. And then who did we go and bug next? I think we went and I also met Ian Sinclair again. I've met him before. My youngest alter of all absolutely adores One Piece, specifically Brooke. She is in love with this man. She thinks he is the funniest little skeleton that she ever has seen. She's actually met him before, which I I'll cue the photo here. She got this little signature with all of our body's name on it, so that way we all could feel included. Now, she met Ian back in 23, so, like, it was a while ago. It's been a bit of time. We met him at the Anime Expo in Boston, and, she got his signature, she got our body's name on it, so that we all felt included, and she got a photo with him, and you can see how ecstatic we were. She was so excited. It was first voice actor we ever met. He's always such a lovely time. He even did, like, the voice for her. I talked about it before. He, like, did the voice for her, and he was getting a hint of how she was, like, stemming, and she was getting so excited. And, of course, we went back to see our favorite skeleton man, and he gave us a poster. Well, we bought it, but same thing. He signed it for us. And, cue photo here. And we mentioned how the last time we saw him, he blamed the cosplayer in front of us for his voice being a little bit off, and he laughed and he's like, I remember you, which made her whole fucking day. And she was like, I'm dressed up as you, and he's like, I see it, I love it. And on her poster, he wrote, your cosplay was so good, I can't believe my eyes. If I had any eyes. Yo ho ho. And he did the voice for her. Of course he did. And he was like, it was so nice seeing you again. And she was so ecstatic and made her whole fucking day. And I'm so glad, because she really, really she really loves this man. Like, he means so much to her. She wants to start voice acting, because our youngest alter is the only alter that can actually do voices very well. Like, she could do Toad, she could do Pikachu. I want to start, like, filming her and having her putting it on YouTube, because, like, she can get these voices spot on if she really wants to. She has to want to, but if she wants to, she can do it very good, and he's actually why she wants to voice act now, and that's, like, what she wants to do in the near future. So, next, we found out that Hell of a Boss was gonna be there. I kinda knew this. And we went to go bug these lovely little duos. And we had them sign a tapestry. Oh. Which I will post the whole tapestry and, like, all together and then, like, up close of the signatures. And our goal is to get each and every person to sign it. And I'll show those photos and then, come back. So we're gonna go through each person and talking to them and all of that slowly. I'm gonna start with Viv. Viv was kind of hard to get into because she took, like, she was, like, on, like, a meeting break thingy, so I had to wait a really long time only because she was busy. But when she finally came back, she was very lovely. We were very excited. She actually, like, just, like, her whole face kind of lit up, and she was like, oh, I like your energy. You're so vibrant. You're so bubbly. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I asked her how her day was. Like, she was really nice. I was worried that she was gonna be mean, because I heard from, like, a lot of people that Viv is really mean, and I was worried, because I have met voice actors who are, like, not nice, and I was worried, but she was really lovely to talk to, so maybe they just met her on a bad day. The first person I went from Hell of a Boss, though, was to Stolas, which is Bright Pinkham. Bright Pinkham. I met Bryce Stolas. I actually got his poster signed. Cool picture here. So the reason we went back twice for Stolas is because I didn't find the tapestry till after I met him, and I had to come back to get him to sign the tapestry. And he is such a sweetheart. He was like, oh, you're back. And, like, he, when he takes, like, pictures with fans, he does this, like, thing where he goes, hoot, hoot. And it's, like, really cute. And he's very interactive. And, like, if you talk about Blitz, he'll, like, bat his eyes at Brandon. And he'll be like, oh, Blitzy. And it's so funny. It's so cute. It's so endearing. I absolutely loved it. I also went and met Richard Horvitz. I'm sorry. It's Moxie. I went and met Moxie, and he did the voice for me, and I loved it. He was such a good time and such a nice man, and I absolutely loved talking to him. He did, like, a few different voices for me, from different characters that he's been, and he was such a good time. He really was, and he was so interactive. Now, the cool thing about Richard is Richard kind of watched me stim a bit. Because as I said, I have autism, and, like, when the child enters near front, she especially, because she loves voice actors, and he realized that when he does different voices, I did different things, and, so he just started doing voices. Like, he was doing, like, Billy, he did, from, like, Billy and Mandy, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, so sorry. He did, like, Invader's Zim thing. He did a few different voices, including Moxie's, and he was just such a hoot and a holler. After him, I went and saw Alex Brightman, which is Fizzarolli, which is my personal fucking favorite. I love Fizz. Fizz is like my fucking baby. Fizz reminds me of me so much, and he is so funny, and he's such a hoot. He also did the voice for me, and he also did, like, some other ones, like, he was doing, like, Beetlejuice and some other, ones that I'm not as familiar with. But he was also really interactive, and he was like, but you, like, want to talk like Fizz, don't you? And he's, like, doing the voice, and I was like, I love it. I love when they do stuff like that. I guess my husband gets, like, a much nicer experience, because, like, the voice actors, like, because of the autism and the child alters, they tend to realize this very quickly, and they tend to go a little bit more and above and beyond, sometimes, depending, and my husband gets to experience this with me by force. I also met Georgina Leah, which is Stolas' ex-wife. Actually, she was, like, dancing with me. She, like, saw that I was stemming, and she started doing it with me, and she was like, she was like, you're so cute, like, can I give you a cuddle? She, like, gave me a hug. She wrote, bloody love you so much, and then she put, like, Stella's. I loved it so much. Actually, she learned that my ringtone when you text me is, what the fuck was that, Stolas? And she was like, no, it's not. And I was like, yeah, no, it is. And she was like, is it really? And I was like, it is. And she's like, can I hear it? And I showed her, and she's like, can I put it on my Instagram? And actually, cue memory here. My phone had to be charged, so now you're in a different position. She thought it was so funny that is my text tone, which it is. Every time you text me, it says, what the fuck was that, Stolas? Because I just think it's so funny, and I thought it was funny to put as my ringtone, because Kit's whole thing is always like, what the fuck is that? So I thought it went with the theme. I thought it was really funny. She thought it was funny. She hugged me so many times. She's like, I bloody love you, like, you're great, like, you're such good energy, like, you're so happy to be here, and, like, she's just such a nice, welcoming person. She's so sweet. I loved it. Now, my prize, my biggest goal was to go meet Brendan fucking Rogers. If you know me, I love this man. I have followed this man since Vine. Now, I actually did not know what Hell of a Boss or Has Been was until I heard Brandon's voice. My husband happened to be watching it one day, and I was like, that's Brandon Rogers. And he was like, who? And I'm like, that's Brandon Rogers, right? And he's like, who? And I'm like, the dude, the little red thing with the things on his head is talking. That's Brandon Rogers' voice. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, Timmy's mom. And he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I, like, had to go on Google, and I found him, and I was like, yeah, this is Brandon Rogers. And Brandon is why I got into the show. Because I knew the voice, I knew the humor, I knew it immediately. I watched him on Vine as in, like, middle school, which, you know, I probably shouldn't have been. By the time I met Brandon, he was tired. He was very, very tired, but he was very, very lovely. He was still trying his hardest. Poor man hadn't had a break all day. He signed my tapestry for me, but he also signed me a photo. I'm going to try to cover it because he made it as huge as possible. Thank you, Brandon. I wanted just a photo of him, and then I also got a photo with him, and I'll cue all of that, here. It was actually especially funny because I was like, you're not in my picture. I don't want you in my fucking picture. I just want it to be me and Brandon. And I was like, you're not in my picture. And Brandon was like, oh, okay, Miss Bougie. And I was like, yeah, because I love you. And he actually snuck my husband in, so fuck him for that. But I knew he would because, you know, it's Brandon fucking Rogers. The amount of times that I texted my bestie and I was like, I'm going to meet Brandon fucking Rogers in like 3 days. I'm going to meet Brandon Rogers in 2 fucking days. I'm going to meet Brandon fucking Rogers in a few hours. Like, the amount of times that I texted this poor man this. And I just kept doing it because I was like, I'm going to meet Brandon fucking Rogers. How do I make that any clearer? I'm going to meet Brandon fucking Rogers. Brandon fucking Rogers. The Vine man. The man who made my fucking childhood on Vine. The man who built my humor. Like, I loved him so much. I really did. And he was such a hoot and a holler. And they all were. They're all very interactive. They're all very nice. They're all very friendly. I'm so glad about that. I had, like, such a good time meeting people, genuinely, but Brandon was just a pain in the dick, because, like, everyone and their grandma wanted to meet fucking Brandon, and, like, I had waited since, like, 10 a.m., and I didn't meet him till almost, like, close to closing time, like, literally an hour before closing, which was at 5, and I had been trying to get into that line, and it was a nightmare. I felt so bad for the guard who had to stand at Brandon's line, and I kept giving him lollipops, because we were carrying around lollipops. My husband was Sanji, and he can't have cigarettes, so we gave him lollipops, and it made him happy, and then he let me in the line. But, like, it was so bad that, like, I had a girl, like, against my chest because of how close-knit you had to be in that con. Like, that's how close you were to people. Like, I had people literally against me. I also ran into, like, the Rhode Island Peter accidentally. I bumped into him, and I was like, I'm so sorry, and he, like, did the Peter Griffin voice, and he was like, hey, it's okay, and I was like, oh, okay, what the fuck? I did not know who this man was until yesterday, but I follow him now. He's funny. I also bumped into one of the wrestlers. I'm not sure what his name was, but he was next to the $1 Million Man, and, he was, like, wearing a nice black suit, and I bumped into him. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, and he looked at me dead in the eyes, winked, and said, it's okay, cutie. Or, like, hey, cutie, something cutie. I think he said, it's okay, or hey, cutie, one of the two. And, like, my whole face got so red, because I was like, oh, okay. I loved it, though. It was such a good time, and I had a great day yesterday, and, yeah. I want to continue doing more con content and talking about cons and telling what ones I recommend. I mainly go to ones in Boston, so if you're ever in the area, you can always come say hello. I only go on Sunday. But I hope that you all enjoyed this, and I hope you had a great day yesterday like I did, and I will talk to you all in the near future. Stay beautiful.